Yes, Maharaj, can you hear us?
A what? What? Looks very, Gaurachandra is sitting in the dark. Oh, look. Today, Ishanuga has her own box. Karuna, how are you? Karuna, how are you?
Dhanavad, Maharaj. How are you feeling?
A little tired, but I'm feeling better.
That's good.
What?
No, Maharaj, Dhanavad. All the devotees.
Dhanavad, Maharaj.
Anjali. How come you're still there last
Maharaj, Dhanavad, all the devotees, Dhanavad.
Dandavat. Dandavat Krishnamani. Where? Saraswati, are you in the temple?
Yes, they're in the temple room.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's Anjali has been there for a long time?
Yes. How long?
Not so
1
long.
week and a half?
Oh, it's not so long, week and a half. I'd say a little longer,
It's quite a long time.
a little bit longer.
Oh, wow. Dandavat. And Mahamantra. Yeah, let's see. What's this? Oh,
Janardan Maharaj, happy to see you.
Dandavat. Ananda Swarupini. Where's? And I see Ishanuga, but Dandavat. Ananda Swarupini. Where are you? I saw your.
I'm in the temple, but in the kitchen
Oh,
in London.
in West London. Okay. Good to see everyone. Gaurachandra and Falguni, ¿están bien?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you very much. I'm very happy to see you again, lively like usual.
Lively, huh? Bhagavan. But where's Ishanuga? You only see her picture.
She's at work, Maharaj.
Oh, she's at work. You put her to work.
Yes, I have to. She has to go out to keep me in the style that I'm accustomed to.
Which is I mean. and Krishna Mohini. Is she also at work, Krishna Mohini? I was hoping she'd turn on her picture because I know so many Krishna Mohinis. I wanted to see which one this is.
No, Maharaj, I am not working now.
No?
At home.
Where? And is Subhadra there?
She's here, Maharaj. And Vilayendra.
Oh. Hello, Subhadra.
Hello. He's on ready.
At home, does Subhadra speak English or Spanish?
More English than Spanish, Maharaj. Spanish, Maharaj.
And
Now
does,
kind of Spanglish lately.
does she speak it with one of those English accents?
He's losing it, but kind of.
Lavanya Moi, I heard you got COVID again.
Done much, Marge. Yes, I did. I just at the end of it. Sorry, that's why I had my camera off and my microphone because I'm coughing a bit. But it wasn't too bad. The first few days were bad, but it's swiftly leaving. So that's my 6 months since I had it before.
How come? I thought they always claim something different every day. They said, oh, if you have, after you have the shots and then you get the Omicron virus, then it will, you have the Omicron virus and they say you have, then afterwards you'll be super defended against any more infections.
But I didn't have any vaccines. I'm going
What?
with I didn't have any vaccines. I'm doing herd immunity, Marj.
Oh, you're doing herd immunity.
Yeah. Nature's vaccine, just giving me a shot of COVID
Okay.
every 6 months. I mean, I've been collecting at the football basically for 6 months and I didn't get it till now. So I think I did all right.
Yes. But this is your second time you had it.
Yeah, had it in July. Now I had it. So that means my antibodies lasted till now.
Huh. You can't be sure of that.
Why not?
Well, you won't know until you have it a third time.
Well, that's true. Yes, it's a scientific work in progress.
I'm getting, this whole COVID thing is getting very annoying.
Yeah, so boring. Totally. What to do?
Do you have restrictions in California yet, Maharaj?
Well, I don't know, but I was thinking of going to Mexico, and then I saw a warning. It said from the CDC themselves. It said, don't travel to Mexico. So, hey, geez, every time. Don't travel to Mexico. Wait until they have a new kind of COVID, a new variant. Yeah. Next one will be the Epsilon variant. They should name the COVID, each one, first one they could name after a fraternity, and then the next one they could name after a sorority. Like they do with the hurricanes, the man and woman, then they can, since they're using the Greek letters, they can use fraternity and sorority variants. And they can charge fraternities and sororities to name a COVID variant after them and pay money for that.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, here, you know, it's so weird. Here, the stadiums, like football stadiums and baseball parks, they're not all named after companies. So you go to you go to something like the Roto-Rooter Orange Ball or something like that. It was normally, now they have a name in front of it, like some weird companies. Every, you know, like Oracle Park, named after. And they're going to, now that, maybe I could get my idea patented, and they can name wars after companies too.
Yeah.
Since they're basically economic wars or economic.
Yeah. World War III, sponsored by Pepsi Cola.
Are you ready to be sent to Russia?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Da. That's a, like yesterday I read where Putin said, what did he say? He said, the United States is trying to start a war with Russia. But that's grossly untrue, because today the United States is sending 3,000 troops to East Europe to just show that how untrue that is. Anyway, happy to see everyone. Even just getting better, tired, but better.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any questions from Anonymous?
I don't have any questions, but maybe others do.
Then they wouldn't be anonymous.
True.
Maharaj, I had a question about the hellish planets. And I heard that there was some, I don't know. Anyway, I heard maybe there was a question whether they really were quite as hellish as is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, I mean, I know we see hell around us in people's situations, but those descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, pouring oil down people's throats and stuff, it's pretty heavy. And how does that, that's an awkward question to ask, but you know, the Lord is so sweet and affectionate, no doubt. How does that type of all balance or something? Oh, it's not quite the right word. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, well, the reason it's so heavy is those hellish planets have been bought by companies and named after companies. Well, why is it so heavy? I mean, what do you want? I guess you can petition to go to, you can petition for hell light. Yeah.
Well, isn't the point of karma that we will learn, or do we just pay our debt and that's it, and no type of understanding about why we've having pouring oil burning oil poured down our throat? Would it just be oil down the throat, off you go on your way?
Well, it would be probably no cholesterol oil. It would be low cholesterol oil. And, you know, I don't know. I still remember the picture of Srila Prabhupada looking at the paintings they did of the hellish planets. and he's looking at them and he's kind of laughing or smiling. He's, looking at the paintings. So the trouble is, Lavanya Moy, you're just not seeing the humor in them.
Well, I did hear that it was a very brief, momentary thing, because it's the hellish planet's much quicker down there. There's a speed, the time is much quicker. So maybe it's just a second or two, but I don't know.
Well,
It's a silly question, maybe.
Well, first of all, on what level we're talking about things? Well, like the other day I was thinking about, how so many people believe in conspiracies, right? And they get very disturbed thinking about conspiracies. But as someone remarked, like anything in a movie, but if you knew what was really going on, it really wouldn't be a conspiracy. But then I was looking at other online about other different videos about conspiracy. And from a long time ago, I remember I saw one, it's a big one too, about whether people actually went to the moon. And that was a big cause of, after that happens, certain people even left the mission because they were thinking that there were remarks to the effect that you wouldn't be able to go to the moon. I remember there's a book called Easy Journey to Other Planets.
Yeah.
And it talked about going to different places, but you couldn't go there in your present, how would you say it, in your present psychological carnivore body. What I'm saying is that if you're going to experience certain things, the idea was that you wouldn't be able to experience them in your gross physical body. So also, since at the time of death, your gross body and even your gross body is finished, we say. And according to the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, it goes, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajat yanti kalevaram tam tam me vaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. That says you're forming your next body according to your consciousness, predominantly according to your consciousness, which would include a lot of different levels. Like, for instance, I didn't get to see the whole reference, but there's one where Srila Govinda Maharaj was talking about what Chota Haridas went through. Now, Chota Haridas, as we know, he gave up his body in the Triveni, and it's a little mystifying because Mahaprabhu didn't like, superficially it was Mahaprabhu didn't like that he was speaking with Madhavi, who was an aged renunciant, the sister of Shiki Mahiti. She's considered to be old, and she's classified as one of the more advanced devotees in Orissa of Mahaprabhu. And yet Jota Haridas, he's not old, and he's been sent to Madhavi to beg some rice for special kind of rice, which is not parboiled or anything, a special kind of rice which is good for offering to the deities or to sadhus, etc. So he's sent to Madhavi to get some of that special rice because Bhagavan, I believe is it Bhagavan? Do you remember who sent her, Sikhi Mahiti?
Don't remember much.
Bhagavan Acharya, I believe.
Yes.
He sent Jota Haridas to beg from Madhavi, who's described as very advanced devotee and very renounced, an older woman also, and yet apparently Mahaprabhu is disturbed that this Jota Haridas was engaged in some kind of conversation or dealings with an aged Vaishnavi, which doesn't make any sense on a superficial level. But then I believe Srila Govinda Maharaj is talking about punishment for the brain. I have to see the exact reference, but there's punishment on the level of the brain. So then what does that indicate? That indicates that just as, apparently the standard with Mahaprabhu is more strict than it is, obviously any of us would flunk that standard of Mahaprabhu. But the indication is that whatever is going through your mind, or whatever is going through your so-called thought process, you may be held accountable, especially if you allow your mental activities to go so far as to enter into the world where your mind dictates to you what your physical activities will be. In other words, what's going on not just on the level of thought process, but also how it's transcending into attitude and also into activities. And the indication that you could be punished for that. And then we have the question about the hellish planets. So then one can wonder, on what level is one being punished? And you can say, hot oil poured down the person's mouth. What is that the punishment for? It's for, lusty relationships or something? I don't remember. Lavanya, can you refresh me? What is that the punishment?
I don't remember either. I just remember it.
Okay. So when you think about that, it makes you shudder, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And yet, I'm sure that you, just like all of us, you've seen and been through many things. I remember in the Green Street Temple how you kind of disarmed somebody who was there holding a huge kitchen knife in his hands, right?
It was a very exaggerated story, but okay, I'll just say yes for you, so you don't have to.
No, you tell me, what was the incident?
Well, the man came in and he had blood on him and he had a knife in his hand and he said, "I didn't mean to do it." And he stood there in the entrance. And he came to the bottom of the stairs and I was like about to faint because he had this knife, but he looked not crazy, but I mean, he didn't look angry. And I was saying, put the knife down. I just put the knife down many times.
How big was the knife?
No, it wasn't a big kitchen knife. Then I would definitely have fainted. It was just a knife. Let's say a knife, what you'd think a knife. But it was a sharp knife. And Darkesh would say, no, it's okay, it's okay. And I was like, please give us the knife. And then he gave the knife.
Okay, so, but you said, at first you said, I didn't mean to do it?
Yeah, he had attacked someone outside. Down somewhere else. Yeah, he had.
All right, so then I would say from that incident, on one level or not, you're not so much intimidated by even bizarre or unusual things that may happen even on the level of the street, right?
Sure, yeah.
So, and yet, when you're talking about the hellish planets and pouring oil down somebody's throat, it seems to produce a sensation in you that it makes you shudder, right?
Well, it doesn't make me shudder. It's just, it seems heavy for the sweet Lord. It seems like a heavy, like the Krishna sweet. I know, obviously, there has to be some discipline.
Well, it isn't, this is not an engagement directly involving the sweet Lord.
No, of course not.
Yeah, and just as there are many horrible things that go on, especially, I mean, we're always constantly throughout our lifetime, we're having to relive the aspect of war. And I remember, what is it? Pablo Picasso, what is his famous painting? What's the name of that?
Mama Mantra will know.
The Guernica, Maharaj.
Arneca, something like that.
Yeah, do you know the title?
Guernica.
Which painting is it?
It's a painting of the
It's called
war.
the Guernica. It was a fight,
war.
the war in Spain.
I mean, it's like as far as I know, it's a fairly big painting, and if you look at the painting, I mean, it may have its surrealistic elements, but it's certainly quite, I mean, it's quite a heavy painting. I'm trying to see that. Guernica.
Dandava Maharaj, Dandava devotees.
From Guernica, is that it? Guernica, yeah.
Yeah, Guernica. And I mean, when I see that painting, when I've seen that painting, it's kind of like, it's kind of done in it's kind of a heavy painting, in other words, to put it lightly. So obviously, I mean, we would think if we're being presented with the idea of a hellish planet, we would think that it's on whatever level that it's happening, you would think it's trying to what's the word? Affect some person who has gone, we would think, drastically off the straight and narrow, so to speak, or, has gone onto some strange level that merits going through at least that kind of, it's not revenge, we can look at it at the level of some level of reformation of conditioned souls, right? Because if you look at what you've heard, what you've seen, and what you've had to relate to in this world, I'm sure you can think of things that have happened or you've read about or heard about involving persons that are on a very, gross or perverse or horrible level, right?
Yeah.
And then you would think, well, if somebody is so warped as to have participated in certain activities, either on the mental or physical level, what kind of situation would have to exist to, so to speak, change the twisted consciousness of a person, of a particular individual? Just like we hear that in ancient times, they had horse sacrifices and um, cow sacrifices, Ashwamedha and Gomedha. We've heard about that. But those were done by experienced Brahmins and are not for Kali Yuga, but were to be able to, take a diseased cow or a disease or an old diseased old cow or an old horse, maybe a horse that's ready for the glue factory or something, or however, whatever they do with old horses. Oh, they probably put them into McDonald's or something. So anyway, the Brahmin would put that old animal into the sacrifice and pull out a young calf or a young colt. It would be a young colt. It wouldn't be. Certainly, the colt would not be over 45 months. So anyway, these animals would be revived by being put into the sacrifice. And somebody would think on a superficial level, oh, how horrible. They're sacrificing a cow into the fire. Oh, that's so cruel. Or a horse into, maybe not the fire, whatever level they're being sacrificed on. And it would appear externally to be so horrible, but the purpose was that by mantra, that the Brahmin had to be very qualified, and he could revive and rejuvenate this animal. So what do you do to rejuvenate or to bring back a really twisted individual? Well, a good way is a short field trip to the hellish planets. They take all the serial killers and they put them in a bus and they take them for a field trip to one of the hellish planets. So on what level it's so horrible and everything like that, and how can we stop singing? How can it be so terrible that we want to stop singing My Sweet Lord? I mean, I'm not trying to it's hard for me to be serious. I mean, sometimes it's my failing is to be properly serious and to take trivialize things that are very obviously very heavy. But I mean, this is a way I'm putting it. It's a wrong way of putting it, but I'm just saying that sometimes you would think that certain difficult or situations may exist in order to be able to help people whose consciousness is really severely twisted or wrong. Then they're subjected to hellish planets. And on what level that exists, I mean, as I said, you can still see, I'm sure if you look through pictures, you can see a picture of Prabhupada looking at, there's Prabhupada looking at paintings of the hellish planets done by his artist, and he's very happy with them and he's smiling. So apparently he was not, I mean, so on what level you're taking these, were to take these things, and on what, you know, I haven't got the proper answer, and some people can say, well, it's to put the fear of God into you, but I think that's just the point. Fear of God is what normal people, on what level they see things, and therefore they're very anti-religious and anti-this and anti-that because the level on which they're seeing engagement with the Lord, they can't see it in terms of devotional service. They're seeing it on the plane of fear of God. And that's, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, fear of God is the religion of the masses or the common people. And love of God is the position of the saints. So, but I can't say that I'm on the level of the saints, but I can say that, you know, when I hear about what is the so-called the reformation or punishment for certain activities, well, it does have a sobering effect upon me. Not that I'm not sober to begin with, but, you know, still, I mean, if you can they say with persons who are intelligent, by being able to hear about something, they can learn just by hearing. But persons who are not so intelligent, they cannot learn by hearing. They have to learn by hard experience. And some persons, we will say, even they're so out of, what's the word, out of alignment, or, you know, there's so much, what's the word, they're so twisted that they can't even learn by experience. That we can see with some people in this world, experience is not even a good teacher for them, right? Experience is not a good teacher. So then I would say, if you can't learn by even experience, then we have to take this to another level. That's the way I would say it. Because first we hear what is the ways at which a difficult person is brought into alignment by the state or by the government or by the king. First, the person is praised to try and get them to follow in line. And if praise doesn't work, then the person is given a nice bribe. And if the bribe doesn't work, then the person is given maybe a post or something. You can see there are different levels, and even that doesn't work to control the person. And then finally it gets to what they say in logic, I guess it is, argumentum ad baculum, which means the stick, that they learn by the stick. But what do you do if with somebody he can't learn even by the stick? For instance, when I was in Singapore, they had captured somebody writing graffiti on an automobile. And Singapore's an opulent place, so maybe in this case, I believe it was a foreigner, maybe even a British subject in Singapore, and he'd written with graffiti on some Mercedes or something. Maybe he didn't like rich people. And anyway, he'd been captured, and then his punishment was to be 26, what are they, 26 canings, 26 canes. That's how they punish people in Singapore. They cane them. And to cane them, they have special experts who are, you know, that's their part of their portfolio. Part of their job is that they cane people. And when they get caned, these people are not caned across jeans or across leather pants or anything like that. They're caned in a more vulnerable way. And you've heard about what is the result of canings. Like they're going to cane, they were going to, what is it, cane or whip Haridas Thakur in 26 different marketplaces. And normally by the 26th lashing, the person would be dead. But Haridas was continuing to chant the holy name even as he was being caned, so much so that the executioners were totally unnerved because Haridas being cruelly lashed over and over and over again for chanting the holy name, and yet he's continuing to chant the holy name, and the executioners, they're beside themselves. They cannot, first of all, they can understand that this man should have been dead a long time ago. And two, he's not dead, and he's also continuing happily chanting Hare Krishna. So obviously, as hardened as they were, they came to the proper conclusion that we're not able to kill him, and the king will kill us for not being able to properly kill him. And two, this man is a saint. There is no other explanation. He's a saint. So the king will kill us for not killing Haridas Thakur. And then the mere fact that he's a saint and we're trying to whip to death this saint, that means the worst of both worlds for us. One will be killed by the king in this world, and in the next world, we're going to be severely held to task for trying to kill a saint and whipping brutally a saint. What can you imagine if you're thinking that? What would be going through your mind? I mean, just for us, I mean, of course, you're all devotees, but the very thought of hurting Haridas Thakur, that would be such a horrendous thought that even on an unconscious level, to be causing some pain or problem for a pure Vaishnava is horrendous thought. And that's the conclusion that these executioners were coming to. And Haridas Thakur understood that. So he said, oh, my living is causing you some difficulty? All right, then I'll die. And then they took the body before the king, and the king said, okay, throw the body in the Ganga. That's what these Hindu folks do. They don't give them a proper burial. Sometimes they just throw them in the Ganga. Okay, so that's what we'll do with this Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur gets thrown in the Ganga, and he swims away, swims to the shore. So I'm just saying, there are so many persons that in this world that even if you may punish them, even if you may, I mean, they're repeat offenders. Even if you punish them, just like there's some of you who've been punished with COVID twice, right? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Lavanya.
Yes, Maharaj.
So repeat offenders, right? Not that you're repeat offenders, you're devotees.
Yeah,
but-
well,
But I'm just saying, then what do we do? What do we do with this person? This person has been suffered like a dog his whole life, and still his consciousness, his mentality is so twisted, so twisted. What can we do? Well, there's nothing else. Take him to the hellish planets. But before they take him to the hellish planets, he's put in a special kind of, we can say, psychological or mental or some certain level of consciousness body by which that person will be most able to assimilate the learning process by going for a certain period of time through hell, right? Because the soul is eternal, and we're actually eternal souls. So, I mean, your question is, how can our sweet Lord be subjecting persons to hellish planets? Well, I could ask you, how does our sweet Lord subject people in this world to so many situations that are unimaginable, but yet we know they exist? What about persons who are in a body? And I'm not an abortionist. I'm not in favor of abortion, and I'm not against abortion, but just the opposite. I'm neither in favor nor against, but just the opposite, you could say. So, I mean, how could our sweet Lord allow an embryo, a soul inside that embryo, to develop to a certain stage and then be killed in the womb by his or her or its mother? Or how can we do this? How can we say this on the level of gender neutrality about the soul? What would we say? How could we say it? It or they?
yeah.
Is that the correct? What's the correct?
Seems like it is, yes.
What's the correct gender neutrality way
They,
of what?
they. I think they use they.
Okay, even though it's singular.
Yes.
A very brilliant use of the English language. The one embryo in the womb, they are killed by their own mother in the womb. Got to be something wrong with the grammatical rules for gender neutrality, but we'll leave that for another time. But I mean, still, here I am. I'm taking another birth, and then, and I'm growing in the womb, and then all of a sudden, my own mother is attacking me with a coat hanger, with a wire coat hanger. I mean, that's what it used to be like when. That's why they made abortion legal also, because people were dying trying to abort. They were trying to do an abortion on themselves. People would go down to Tijuana, which is a border town in Mexico, and go to some of these abortion parlors, and some of them would wind up dying or bleeding to death in an alley. So anyway, you could say, what would be the situation for a person, in the loving, if this were the loving kingdom of the Lord, to be aborted by my mother, or to have my mother bleed to death trying to abort me. You know, it's a very, so then when I consider that and how certain persons on the level of consciousness, you know, they're to be dealt with and to be able to come back to so-called normal consciousness so that in their next life they can, you know, at least move towards having a happy life. It may take some time, or some may take a lot of lives, but you know, hundreds of lives, what's that for an eternal soul? And what is that soul? How is that soul to be, you know, to be affected on a psychological level? Maybe, as I said, going to the hellish planets is part of the way. But as I said, I remember the image very clearly of how Prabhupada was so happy and amused seeing drawings of the hellish planets. So I can't think of it as being, you know, as such an unconscionable, you know, activity or stage that the Lord's allowing people to be subjected to hell.
Yeah.
Besides, hell is not eternal. It's not an eternal thing. It's just like, you know, I mean, you, Lavanya, I'm sure you've gone through many situations in your life that have been very happy, but you've also gone through situations in your life that while you were living them, they must have seemed like hell to you, right?
Of course.
Yeah, all of us. That's
Yeah.
true with all of us. So then it makes you have a different level of understanding of what the hellish planets are all about.
Yes. It doesn't have to be a physical
Yeah,
thing.
like
It's a mental thing.
there's a hellish planet for people who are gluttonous, that they have to sit there all the time and eat peaches and cream. It's so terrible. Some of them have to eat ice cream. I remember when I was young, they were removing my tonsils, not my consciousness, my tonsils. They were going to remove my tonsils, and then the doctor says, well, for a certain number of days, I could only eat ice cream. And I was like, really? This is the result of this operation? There were so many days I just can't eat anything but ice cream? Wow, what a punishment this operation is. Anyway, I'm thinking, apparently, though, as I said, we're the pure devotees. The hellish planets are somewhat of an amusement. Who can understand it?
And you said that you said at the beginning, you were saying about if you have the thoughts, that you also get the karma from your thoughts. Is that in Kali Yuga?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry.
I said supposedly by having the thoughts, you wouldn't necessarily face the retribution of having those thoughts, but what happens, as is usually the case, that thoughts get translated into action. Because first, when you experience something on the physical level, it must have gone through something on the mental level to produce those actions, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Think of all the activities that you or myself or others have performed that later we're so disturbed that we've done that we acted in such a way, or we treated somebody in that way. We're very disturbed by that. But we didn't just get to that stage you know, like without having gone through some mental preparation in order to be translated into those activities which later become ashamed of, then now we're ashamed on the mental level, but then perhaps we weren't so ashamed when we went through the mental level the first time to initiate those activities. And they say, for instance, what is it that we have? What are the 4 different levels of sin? There's sin which is in the form of seed, and seed within the mind. And then there's seed that's began to grow, or what is it, to fructify, and then sin which is fully developed, we can say, full bloom. What are the different levels? I'm sure you've heard those. What are the
Yes.
levels? Sin in the form of thought, sin in the form of initial desires, sin in the form of growing, and then sin in the form of fully matured, fructified sin.
Is that in the heart?
Well, no, not all. Well, I guess in the heart when it's on the level of thought, but when it's getting to the more fructified level, I would say it's in the level of action also.
Yeah.
And then we're told there's the story of the bath of an elephant. You know the story about the bathing of the elephant. The elephant is bathing, and then as soon as the elephant comes out of the river, immediately throws sand and dirt all over him or her or them selves, or their selves, or whatever. Gender neutrality for elephants too. Oh, hello, Ishanuga, back from work. You were at work? Oh, nice. Nice that you're back. Not nice that you were at work. So, yeah, and I saw that when I went to St. Petersburg. They had elephants there, and then they took the elephants to bathe into the Baltic Sea, because the temple in St. Petersburg, it's the Black Sea, I think it is. It's very near to the sea. And they took the elephants in the sea and to bathe them, and there was riders on the back of the elephant. And then when the elephants came out of the water after bathing themselves, then they immediately, with their trunk, started to grab big amounts of sand and throw it all over themselves, since some of the sand was also thrown all over the rider on their back. And I could understand, I've heard about the story of the bathing of an elephant. And what that story is given, I believe, in the Bhagavatam to show that this is the meaning is that how sin works, that the level of prayaschitta means so-called reformation, doesn't really work. You know, you go to the church and you what is it? How much holy water do you put on? Where do they put the holy water on you?
When you're baptized.
What?
When you're baptized, you mean?
No. When you go to the church, and you've done some sin, and then you have to chant so many
Declaration.
whatever. Yeah. You have to chant. You have to chant 16 rounds or so many rosaries, and I think you would have to chant. You'd have to chant so many Hail Marys, or you'd have to chant so many rounds before and after, before having children or generating children, I guess, or somehow. But anyway, the idea is that Prayaschitta doesn't work. The bathing of the elephant just shows Prayaschitta is like that. It's superficial. You're going to the church or to the mosque or to the temple to confess, and you can't even wait to get out of the temple or church to plan your next escapade. You know, it's not working. Therefore, you know, these are meant to be, perhaps occur on a different level, not the physical level, but a different level of consciousness to help you develop some resistance in the future, for some resistance in the future towards COVID. I mean, towards sin.
But if you chant the holy name, so many blessings you get for, you know.
If you what?
If you chant, let's say if you chant the holy name okay, you'd have to chant it purely. That's like the small print, isn't it? But like I've been here, I've been reading the Mahabharata, like the old one. And, you know, every chapter, but at the end of every chapter, you practically should be in the heavenly planets by the amount of, you know, if you read this chapter about these happenings, you will, you know, you'll never suffer. There's so many blessings and purifications happen on every page practically, but you have to do it in a certain way, I suppose, with a certain consciousness.
Well, apparently it's worked for you because you're so horrified by the hellish planets.
I know. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not horrified, but I was just interested how, because I think I heard that, I don't know, maybe I must have heard wrong, that was it Srila Bhaktivinoda said that it wasn't true or something, but then also he said anything you can think of is reality somewhere then.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think about, everything that you can experience on one level or another has some existence. Now, you know, as I said, actually I saw when I was reading about, you know, movies about conspiracy, there's a famous movie that was made about not going to the moon. Right? And then some devotees, when they heard that, you know, the astronauts had gone to the moon, they became so disturbed because apparently Prabhupada or Vaishnavas had said that you can't go to the moon because you don't have the proper body to enter into the moon. So they were thinking, well, wait a minute. What is the name of the famous astronaut? Neil Armstrong. He said we went to the moon. So he must know better than Prabhupada because he's an astronaut. And of course, the sacred newspapers or American government would be incapable of producing some kind of a subterfuge. I'm not saying that we never went to the moon, because if you ask me, did we go to the moon? I'd say yes. And then if somebody said, well, Prabhupada or this person said that we didn't go to the moon, so what do you have to say? Then I say, can I have a few potato chips and Coke? I would say, what do I care? Why is that disturbing to me? I don't even know what the truth or what the untruth is or anything. And even if they went to the moon, on what level it's to be taken, why should I care? Why should that disturb me? You know, just like I said, when one devotee said, well, if Prabhupada was in one room and Guru Maharaj is in the other room, where would you go first? I said, look, I have bigger problems than that. I'm not occupying my mind in debating how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. I mean, it's really of no concern to me. You know, if Prabhupada's in one room and Guru Maharaj is in another room, well, this question is so hypothetical that you're imagining, first of all, that I could be in that atmosphere to have to be able to ask that question or to answer that question. Just the fact that I could be there is already, to me, so contrary to reality, at least the reality I know. So why should I even occupy myself in that way? I'm not even going to think about this. And similarly, you know, my faith is not going to be disturbed because somebody tells me, oh, well, you know, your spiritual master said we can't go to the moon, and I can prove to you that we did go to the moon. I'd say, so what? What do I care, honestly? And now I saw that there actually is a movie showing that we didn't go to the moon. So maybe all of you blooped in vain. You blooped in vain. What can I do? What can we do? Drop some Ganga, 3 drops of Ganga water on their head and let them chant 64 rounds. I mean, so you just said yourself, Lavanya, that on some level, everything that we think, according to what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, some level there is reality just on that mental process. And maybe we're not even talking about mental process. We're talking about something beyond mental beyond mental, the mental process, beyond to the level. I mean,
Yeah.
and as Guru Maharaj said, we're already being so misled by our mind and our mind and intelligence and false ego, that we're already being so misled on that level that there must be some way of dealing with crooked subtle bodies.
Mm. Yeah.
Anyway,
Must be.
well, but maybe those hellish planets, maybe some of them aren't so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are actually kind of nice if you go there in the right time of year. All right. Any other questions from? We had no anonymouses today. Although Gaurachandra, he's kind of in the dark a little bit. He's hiding in the shadows. So maybe he's the next best thing to anonymous.
Maharaj, I was reading about I was reading a biography about Darwin. Can you listen? I don't know if my mic is well. Can you listen?
What?
I don't know. Can you listen?
Yeah, I can listen. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, because I think it was wrong before. Okay. So the thing is that he has a system. He had a system of trying to explain whatever he will believe in the opposite side, as a trying to disconfirm his evidence in order to the idea was that if he could explain better the opposite side than anyone, then he will confirm his ideas more. And of course, I'm not trying to do this with devotion or anything like that, but there are many aspects that sometimes I mean, like you say, like I don't really, I have no interest in trying to find anything about that. Like many things, like astrology or Kama Sutra or anything that is separate from what we have taught. But my question is, have you come to at some point in your life to try to disconfirm your belief in order to prove them, like to put into trial, let's say, put into trial, not the what the guru says, because that will be crazy, but many things that we have heard, like sacrifices and things like the snakes being put into fire, and then I don't know, many. It's just a question that sometimes I have, if something like that have come in your life.
No, the story about putting snakes in the fire is, the snake offered to Adam and Eve the apple from the tree of knowledge. But if Adam and Eve were, this would be better I strike this. I was going to say, if they were Chinese, they would have eaten the snake instead of the apple. But this could be considered a politically incorrect joke or something. But yes. But anyway, regarding to, I don't have to test Gurudev's or our guru's ideas in order to be able to prove them right. I mean, my consciousness is so wrong sometimes that I don't even have to go deliberately put to test these different things. Is because I've been brought up in 20 and 21st century America, which is so contrary to so many things that are part of our spiritual heritage or our spiritual teachings or Gurudev statements. I mean, all the time that's happening. All the time. Because, just like, take the story of Ajamil. Now, Ajamil, apparently when he started, Ajamil was fairly, good as a very young person. And I've heard that as an explanation of how when, the Yamadutas were punishing him, that he called out to Narayan, to his young son, Narayan, help. And then he thought, Narayan, he's so small, but these Yamadutas are so ferocious. What can that small boy do? That would be something that only could save me, the real Narayan. But somehow or other it went through his mind that he could remember Narayan. By calling out his son's name. Maybe that was Namabash. But somehow or other it triggered in him, deep in his consciousness, some real actual remembrance of the Lord. Anyway, I've heard that explanation, and then the Vishnu Dutas arrived and everything. But the idea is that we were brought up in environments, many of us, that had no actual inkling of the precepts or of Krishna consciousness or the teachings of Sri Guru. So I'm every day involved in situations or well, situations and different occurrences where I have to actually remember the teachings of Gurudev because my normal thought process is so contrary to the teachings of Gurudev or the teachings of the scripture. I mean, I'm living in an environment that is actually modern. You know, the modern environment is in many ways so contrary on so many levels of to what our teachings are. So I'm and my own upbringing is such that that the actual teachings of Krishna consciousness are contrary to many of the deeply indebted thoughts or psychological things, etc. And so that's happening. That's happening without even having to consciously try to do that. I'm doing it all the time anyway. Why do I have to consciously try to disprove Gurudev's teachings in order to be able to substantiate them? I don't have to try. I'm already doing that without trying. You know, it's already happening. In so many ways I'm learning, you know. Just like I always remember when I first was reading that early translation of Ishopanishad, I forget one of the early verses, it says that one is to acquire a cultivation of, what is it, nescience and consciousness side by side. So that's already happening, Gaurachandra. It's already happening. It's happening every moment, every day. That's already happening. And how can I say it's already happening? Because we haven't passed the stage of anartha nivritti. We haven't passed that stage. We're not on the level of prema. We're not on the level of rag. We haven't even passed the level of anartha nivritti. So of course we're dealing with so many thoughts and so many situations which are contrary to the teachings of Gurudev. We're already going through that all the time. Doesn't have to be developed. It's like you don't have to cultivate that. You're already getting it. It's called instant. It's called instant vikarma. Just add water. You don't have to prepare it. It's already there. You just have to stir it a little. Add some water and stir it. And that's there. Vikarma. Isn't it? So, anyway. Suvasini, how are you?
Dandavats Maharaj. Yeah, I'm okay, Maharaj. And you're okay? Everything?
Yes, I'm feeling better now. But I had COVID, but I have to milk this for a little longer as to excuse for being lazy. I'm just saying, oh, I'm still tired. But some of it's true. Sometimes I actually am tired. And I heard some of the devotees there, and even maybe here, have got COVID more than once. So I'm wondering if you really get it more than once, or you just never fully recover the first time. Is that also possible? I mean, it seems to be. I'm not a conspiracist because I really don't believe in conspiracy so much. Nor am I a pessimist, or I tend to be more of an optimist, and although sometimes I can be a little cynical, but I don't think that's a healthy situation. I try not to be cynical also. But so then I say this almost on the level of dark humor, but I'll say maybe people get COVID more than once because it's been so well engineered. It's so well engineered that it just sticks around for a while, waiting for your defenses to go down, just like there's some diseases that are like that. You seem to be okay, and then when you become weak, they show themselves. A lot of people are subjected to, for instance, pneumonia repeatedly because their defenses are not strong enough to so they're okay to day to day, they're okay. And then all of a sudden, if they became weakened by exhaustion or by overworking or something, then some disease like pneumonia reasserts itself. And they've had this disease so many times. So maybe there's, who knows, this whole thing with this whole thing with this disease, COVID. I mean, who can understand it? On what level is this all happening? You know, I try to intellectualize it, and I can't figure it out. You know, that a bat and a pig were together eating lunch together and sharing food, and then something or other happened, and then the pig was sent to the Western markets, and then the bat was sent to the Chinese markets, and I don't know. What do they say? They say only. What are you told? It's really hard for me to believe what I read in the news, because I've experienced so many situations which I know are completely contrary to the news. And you, of course, you could say that also, because the way the Western newspapers write about events that are going on in India, sometimes it's completely wrong what they say. They don't have it right. I mean, if you don't believe me, just ask that, what's her name, that Swedish girl. What's her name? You know, the one...
Thunberg.
Yeah. The one who's always saying, how dare you? How dare you? Well, she is the one also, she said that in India, she was so much appalled by the truck driver strikes in Delhi, you know, blocking off the city and everything. Of course, they must be standing up for the poor workers. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, Little Miss Stromberg, that it works like that. It's not exactly what you say, what you think necessarily. Why? Because in the West they always report what's going on in India, probably China and Russia also. They always report it wrong. Of course, right now we read that, I don't know how many thousands of people and tanks and everything are on the border of, what is it, Ukraine, and therefore the United States says, oh, they're planning on invading, and then Putin says, no, we're not planning on invading, but we're really sick of you bringing in all the people that were previously in the Soviet Union, bringing them into the NATO. And we don't trust NATO. And you're trying to get us into a war. But to prove him wrong, today the United States sent 3,000 troops over there. We're not trying to draw you into war. That's why we're sending our troops over there. Wait a minute. I can't believe anyone. I'm not saying that Putin's a great humanitarian, nor am I saying that the United States is what's the word? Is always pacifist. So you can't believe anything you read in the newspapers. You can't believe anything. You can't believe anything that your parents taught you. And when we read about the hellish planets, then we have doubts about that also. Anyway, Ananta Govinda. Ananta Govinda.
Janardan Maharaj, how are you?
Good. You sent me some kind of message, and I didn't understand all the message. And then you sent me a message about something being sent to Ashram Maharaj, but I'm not living in Mexico. How come that was sent to me?
Did you have it there? Cannot remember.
Yeah, it says it's coming from Ananta Govinda, and then it says wise online money transfers. Hey, then Ashram Maharaj's civil name. I just sent you money with wise. You should receive, and all this. But that was sent to me by you.
Oh, by mistake. Well, it was a little donation that I sent to Ashram Maharaj for the building over there, 20 pounds.
All right, good. That's nice, but you sent it to me, not the money. You sent the message to me.
Sorry.
No, I just wanted to because maybe you didn't send it to Ashram Maharaj, so you might want to send a message to him. Then it says Dandavat Pranams Maharaj Reciba mis respetuosas reverencias a sus pies. Is that meant for me or for Ashram Maharaj?
For both.
How do I know that?
I have to fix it in some way.
All right. Okay, send your message to Ashram Maharaj, because maybe you sent it to me by mistake.
Yes, it was this afternoon.
Yeah, because I figured that. Because it's to the name of the transfer is to the name of Ashram Maharaj. So, but you sent the message to me that you transferred it to me. So you want to send that to Ashram Maharaj.
Well, okay. Maharaj, I don't send money to you because you are in a very rich country. I can only send you my love.
That's true. I mean, that's true. I'm in a very rich country. And that's true. Actually, I'm not poor. I'm not. When I go begging, it's not because I'm poor. It's because I'm begging for Gurudev. Our begging is for Gurudev. I don't need anything myself. Dhanyavad, Kalindi.
Do you have a Zoom?
Yeah.
Dhanyavad.
With
Can you send me a February calendar? I'm sorry to bother you.
Yeah, hold on once.
No, I get it. What is it? I don't want to interrupt you, Dhanyavad.
Well, you see there's one on the refrigerator.
Can I take this?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Maharaj. Dhanyavad.
It's okay. I'll just use January's.
You have more, no?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, nice. So many devotees.
Yeah.
Dhanyavad to everyone.
I knew it.
Hare Krishna.
All right, so I've kind of gone in circles talking. Does anyone else have a question? Gaurachandra's question was good. Lavanya Moise was good. None from Anonymous today.
Your answers were very good as well, Maharaj. Very profound and complete.
You didn't hear the same answers as me because they weren't profound. So, you, Devashish, are you better now?
Yeah, Maharaj, pretty much. A bit weak still, but that may not be the COVID. That's probably just how I am. You know, I'm suffering from so many different complaints. Yeah.
Yeah, Govinda Maharaj used to say, he says, I have so many, something like 7, he said, or 9 itis. Spondylitis, spondylitis. What were some of the other itises? He said many. Well, I can't say tonsillitis. I had my tonsils taken out. But I do have bronchitis, spondylitis, Yeah, I can't think of all the itises now, but on a normal, if my mind is clear a little bit, I can think of at least 7 itises also. But they can be generally, in our case, linked under one title called, in this case, Jara. Jara.
Yes.
Birth, death, old age, so old age. I've already experienced birth and old age and disease.
And just sitting in the queue for the other one.
Yeah. Ramai used to say, one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. So,
God bless him.
Yeah. Yesterday was his birthday.
Yeah.
And then on our Facebook webpage of the SCS Mott. But ours is
Seva Ashram.
Seva Ashram Facebook page. There's a beautiful picture of Ramai. Very beautiful. What a wonderful person.
Yes, Maharaj.
I'm so fortunate that I've known so many wonderful devotees in my lifetime. But Guru Maharaj used to say that he was saddened because he said, all my friends have gone. But Guru Maharaj was in his 90s, and he could say that. But how can it be that somebody who's in their 70s, that so many of their friends could be gone? And they were younger than me, all of them. I don't understand that. The only explanation is that they were being punished for not being vegans. They're vegetarians, but they didn't make the full transition to vegans because Krishna, he was Krishna the cowherd boy. But not Krishna the Japanese soybean farmer. But so many people come to our temple and they say, is this vegan? And you know what we actually can say? Yes, this preparation and that preparation and that preparation, they're vegan. Because we actually do make things that are vegan to be able to accommodate our guests who come, you know. But where is it? You know, one thing. Rajamohini, she left yesterday for meeting Vishaka. But before she left, she gave me this as a present. You know what it is? It's a jar of ghee.
Wow.
Yeah, and as far as I know, as far as I know, Rajamohini, she's pretty much, I believe, a vegan. She's vegan herself. Then why is she giving me a jar of ghee?
Because she knows Krishna is your Lord.
Oh, that's nice. What a sweet thought. Suvasini, do you cook with ghee or with coconut oil?
I usually use the sesame seed oil, Maharaj, for the normal cooking, and yes, some little coconut oil, ghee a little for some items, yeah, but not regularly too much ghee. No.
What items would you cook in ghee?
Well, definitely the sweets, all I can put ghee. And I actually add a little ghee at the end, like, if I make a upma or something, just for giving a little flavor, but not like a too much ghee, but maybe 1 or 2 spoons at the top, a little bit. Like that.
Oh, nice. So everybody here, you're well? Are
Yes,
you well?
Yes, Maharaj, I'm okay. Yeah, thank you.
And everyone, I know Lavanya Mai is a little ill. Is everyone else well?
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Okay. I'm happy to see all of you. Bhagavan. Krishna Mohini. Saraswati, Anjali.
Dandavad Maharaj. Another Sarupini.
Dhanuvat. Rasaraj, Mahamantra, Subhasini.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Falguni, Krishna Mohini, Gaurachandra, and Devashis. It took me a while to be able to get admitted through the what was it today? I was sitting for a while in the to be called into the meeting. Maybe the meeting started late. Is that it?
No, I don't know why that was.
Oh. I was being screened.
Yeah, we have to be careful not to let any undesirable elements in.
All right. Bloody limeys. How are you, Anjali? No sound. No sound.
Listen to what you're saying very sweetly. Everything you're saying very such a sweet way. You know? So we're all happy to hear that way, your expression, how you express everything. Very sweet.
Okay, it's nice that you take them in that way. So one time Govinda Maharaj scolded me. He says, we must be Gambhir. he said.
Ambir.
Means we have to be serious.
Oh, well.
Why? But he also said,
The heavenly the hellish planets didn't sound so scary with your expression.
well, he said, he also, Govinda Maharaj said,
the way you told.
Govinda Maharaj, I heard him say that Guru Maharaj also, his nature was sometimes a little, he said Guru Maharaj's nature was a little childish. Did you ever hear that, Devashish?
Yes, Maharaj.
He said Guru.
No.
So,
yeah,
I can be like that way, but I also can. I feel very wrong sometimes because I can be very sentimental, you know.
That's okay.
No, but if I see something that strikes me as sad, it almost like, or I'm reading the scripture, certain things can actually almost move me to tears, and I think.
Well, I think since I've got older, old actually, not getting. I've already arrived at old. I find I cry very easily.
Well,
things move me very easily.
Well, that's kind of normal.
It's something when you get, oh God, tears come.
Yeah, well, that's normal for, we would say, for ladies or it or them, because we're trying to develop some gender neutrality.
I don't know, yeah. But I notice that I very easily.
I know two daughters of a devotee. I know a very nice devotee family and everything, and their daughters, they're teenagers, and they've taken the names Sam and Dave. But I don't. None of that really bothers me. It doesn't. I don't take it very seriously.
Sam and Dave, I think.
It's just like I knew another devotee when she was 12 or 13. She went by the name of Shane.
Shane.
And I saw we went to a program. We went to a program. This was when she was young, and she was there, and she had a hat on with a pin that said "legalize marijuana." So I went up to her and I gave her she was there with a friend of hers, and I gave her $10, and I said, why don't you take your friend and go get something to eat? I can't take it very seriously.
I wonder what they spent it on. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, when I was young, I gave so much. I'm sure I gave so much grief and suffering to my poor mother. Sometimes my mother would say, sometimes I think you're too smart for your own good.
Well, it's done you no harm, Maharaj.
Well, I mean, did me harm for some time.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore.
I don't know.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm happy to be with all of you.
Lovely to see you and everybody here. It's nice to actually not have to do it online all the time.
Maybe someday I'll take a vacation.
It's better than nothing online.
Someday I'll take a vacation and come to sunny England.
That would be so cool if that would really.
And sunny Ireland too.
Well, it does shine. You'll have to pick the right months when we get more sunshine. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit cold and rainy.
Like January, February is good.
Maybe.
I remember Dayal Nitai.
Anytime you come, you bring
Dayal Nitai, his Sagar Maharaj's Bengali, servant, and he was in UK for some time, and he described UK as, he said, the clouds are thinking, now I have found my home.
Yeah.
But nice. All right. My dandavats to everyone.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Dandavad Maharaj. Dandavad.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.